meditative upon teaching, though I am certain he would have been scared out of his wits by an average board-school class in half an hour, and so far as I can remember now, he was propounding an improvement of Professor Armstrong's heuristic method, whereby at the cost of 300 or 400 pounds worth of apparatus, a total neglect of all other studies, and the undivided attention of a teacher of exceptional gifts, an average child might with a peculiar sort of thumbly thoroughness learn in the course of 10 or 12 years almost as much chemistry as one could get in one of those objectionable shilling textbooks that were then so common. Quite ordinary persons, you perceive, both of them, outside their science, or if anything on the unpractical side of ordinary, and that you will find is the case with scientists as a class all the world over. What there is great of them is an annoyance to their fellow scientists, and a mystery to the general public, and what is not is evident. There is no doubt about what is not great. No race of men have such obvious littlenesses. They live in a narrow world so far as their human intercourse goes. Their researches involve infinite attention and an almost monastic seclusion, and what is left over is not very much. To witness some queer, shy, misshapen, grey-headed, self-important, little discoverer of great discoveries, ridiculously adorned with the wide ribbon of some order of chivalry and holding a reception of his fellow men, or to read the anguish of nature at the neglect of science when the angel of the birthday honours passes the Royal Society by, or to listen to one indefatigable lichenologist commenting on the work of another indefatigable lichenologist, such things force one to realize the unfaltering littleness of men. And with all the wreath of science that these little scientists built and are yet building is so wonderful, so portentous, so full of mysterious half-shapen promises for the mighty future of man, they do not seem to realize the things they are doing. No doubt long ago even Mr. Bensington, when he chose this calling, when he consecrated his life to the alkaloids and their kindred compounds, had some inkling of the vision, more than an inkling. Without some such inspiration for such glories and positions only the scientist may expect, what young man would have given his life to such work as young men do? No, they must have seen the glory. They must have had the vision, but so near that it has blinded them. The splendor has blinded them, mercifully, so that for the rest of their lives they can hold the lights of knowledge in comfort. That we may see. And perhaps it accounts for Redwood's touch of preoccupation that there can be no doubt of it now. He among his fellows was different. He was different inasmuch as something of the vision still lingered in his eyes. 2. The food of the gods, I call it, this substance that Mr. Bensington and Professor Redwood made between them, and having regard now to what it has already done, and all that it is certainly going to do, there is surely no exaggeration in the name, so I shall continue to call it therefore throughout my story. But Mr. Bensington would no more have called it that in cold blood than he would have gone out from his flat in Sloane Street, clad in regal scarlet and a wreath of laurel. The phrase was a mere first cry of astonishment from him. He called it the food of the gods, in his enthusiasm, and for an hour or so at the most altogether. After that he decided he was being absurd. When he first thought of the thing he saw, as it were, a vista of enormous possibilities, literally enormous possibilities. But upon this dazzling vista, after one stare of amazement, he resolutely shut his eyes, even as a conscientious scientist should. After that the food of the gods sounded blatant to the pitch of indecency. He was surprised he had used the expression. Yet for all that something of that clear-eyed moment hung about him, and broke out ever and again. "Really, you know," he said, rubbing his hands together and laughing nervously, "it has more than a theoretical interest. For example," he confided, bringing his face close to the professor's and dropping to an undertone, "it would perhaps, if suitably handled, sell—" "Precisely," he said, walking away, "as a food, or at least a food ingredient. Assuming, of course, that it is palatable, a thing we cannot know till we have prepared it." He turned upon the hearth-rug, and studied the carefully designed slits upon his cloth shoes. "Name," he said, looking up in response to an inquiry. "For my part, I incline to the good old classical illusion. It makes science rest. Give it a touch of old-fashioned dignity. I've been thinking. I don't know if you would think it absurd of me. A little fancy is surely occasionally permissible. Herakleophorbia, eh? The nutrition of a possible Hercules? You know it might— Of course, if you think not—" Redwood reflected with his eyes on the fire and made no objection. "You think it would do?" Redwood moved his head gravely. "It might be titanophobia, you know, food of titans. You prefer the former? You're quite sure you don't think it a little too— No? Ah, I'm glad." And so they called it Herakleophorbia throughout their investigations, and in their report, the report that was never published because of the unexpected developments that upset all their arrangements, it is invariably written in that way. There were 3 kindred substances prepared before they hit on the one their speculations had foretold, and these they spoke of as Herakleophorbia